Welcome to Parchment Update, an interview series from the Parchment Community Library to bring your community closer to you. I'm Karen Woodworth, Library Ambassador. Joining me today is Deanna Phillips. She's the chairperson for the Cornhole tournament at this summer's Kindleberger Festival. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for asking me to join you, Karen. It's always a pleasure.
All right, well, I've called it a cornhole tournament, but it seems like it's maybe two or more tournaments in one. You've got a professional tournament and a backyard social division tournament, and they're both scheduled for 11 a.m. on Sunday, July 16th. How does that work?
That's correct. So we have done it at separate times in the past and just found that it's actually a lot more exciting to do both tournaments at the same time. The area that we do it is at the lower parks, which allows us a vast amount of space to be able to do that. So we run the pros on a separate set of boards because they're provided by the American Cornhole organization. And so those are strictly used for the pros. And then we have also boards that they bring in that help us to run that large group all at one time for the backyard social. So they all register at the same time, they all start warming up at the same time, and then they all start playing at the same time.
Okay, well, you mentioned there might be a slight difference in boards. Are there any differences in rules for the professionals and the social tournaments?
No, not at all. Everybody plays the same distance. It's a double elimination. They all play to 21, first team to 21. Really, the only difference is the professionals are what we call ranked. So they are usually sponsored by companies. They travel throughout the entire United States, playing for very large purses at some of these events. There have even been people that have been at our event who have participated at the ESPN level of cornhole tournaments. Yes, there is an ESPN cornhole tournament where he won a substantial amount of money. So we want to make it fair. We don't want those members trying to intermingle with us backyard players who just do this a little bit, a couple times a year, maybe at a outing or graduation party, whatever. So that's really the only difference.
Okay, well, I think that's just fascinating. It feels like there's this whole underground sports network of cornhole tournaments that we just don't ever get to hear about. So it's wonderful that we're going to get to see it in action. So I want to ask you, what are the divisions for the tournaments, and what on earth is the toilet plunger play for fun division?
All right. So really there's three divisions. It is the backyard social. Those are people that, don't play at the competitive level. They don't have a ranking. They may play on some Wednesday night leagues or something like that. But they're basically still a social division. Then we have the pros. Those are the guys men and women. If I'm being very transparent, the pros, some of those are 8-year-olds. There's no age limit. Last year, I think one of the first place winners was 13 years old. So it's just a matter of they travel. And then our wonderful toilet bowl plunger division is just simply a fun for all. If you've, participated in the day and you haven't won a single game, it's a reason to stick around and pick up some cash and maybe some gift cards, things like that. So we'll pay out the top 3 for all divisions, just different amounts. So for example, the pros will start at 500 for first place, 300 and 150. Backyard will start at 300, 200 and 100. And then the plunger division will be 80, 60, 30.
Okay, so there are real prizes here, so people can get serious about this. And if people are thinking about maybe putting a team together to compete, what would you like them to know?
Yeah. So one of the things that I would like them to know is that I am the sponsor for this year. So I am the one that's putting up the prize money for the event. I am a realtor in the area, and I am able to I'm basically, through some of the sales that I've recently had in the area, I'm using that opportunity to give back to the community. I also give back to the Bingo for Bags event, which all of this helps us provide these events to people free of charge, whether it's the week festival, including all of the other things of the art fair, the kids area, the plays, and then the summer concert series. So I do just want to put that out there that, that's where the prize money comes from. What they need to know is that they have to have a 2-person team. It's we don't have singles, some tournaments that you can sign up as an individual and then they'll pair you with somebody. We don't do that. We require that you come up as a 2-person team. If you want to register, you can do that by going to Kindleberger arts.org, I believe it is. And then down on the right-hand side, there is a link for signing up, and there's one for the pros and one for the backyard. You'll want to sign up sooner than later because the price is going to go up. Right now it's $30 for social and $60 for the pros. That's going to go to $40 and $80 by July 6th, I believe it is. We would love to know if they have boards. If we get a great turnout like we did last year, we literally covered the entire lower diamonds. If they have boards that they could bring if we need them, I'll make a separate list and be able to reach out to them the Friday before the event and ask them to assist us by bringing boards so that we can keep the play going at a consistent speed. Really, other than that, spectators are welcome. We had last year many people come down and brought tents, pop-up tents and coolers, and just sat and watched. We will not have a vendor on site this year for food. We just did not find that advantageous because of the timing of the day. So you can plan ahead, pack a lunch, whatever you want to do. And I think that's about it. Bring some sunscreen and make sure you've got some water with you. It can get a little toasty down there sometimes. If you are bringing some equipment or bags that you're going to throw with, you do need to know that they cannot be corn filled. I know that sounds funny because it is a cornhole tournament, but they cannot be corn filled because of the residue on them. It makes for poor play on the boards. So we will have extra bags if people need them.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And so I'm picturing, just a bunch of people making a picnic out of watching it. It sounds great. Great
It's fun.
fun. Yeah. And so if people really haven't paid much attention to this sport before, what do you recommend that people look for when they're watching the tournament?
It's not that's a hard question because there's really not anything that you would pick up on. I think the thing that I find fun is watching the manipulation that the pros are able to put into their throw, the way that they prep their bag in their hand or toss it. They're strategic about, do they want that bag to go in the hole, that throw, or do they want a couple stacked up and then they're going to come in and try to slide multiple in to get multiple points. So that's the fun part. And then always just the mingling that happens amongst the community and those that are there. We've had people that didn't play the first year, watched, and then came back and played the second year just to get a feel for it. But it's really a fun, easy sport. Really, you got to be able to throw a beanbag. That's about it.
All right. All right. Well, before we wrap up today, what else would you like us to know?
Again, warm-ups are at 10:30. You can register right there at the table with me. Everybody will be pretty much pre-signed up. You'll sign your waiver and off you can go to warm up. We'll do a roll call just a few minutes before 11, just to make sure all the teams that we did have sign up are there. Otherwise, we'll take them out of our computer system. We do use a computer bracket system to keep track of the game. So we'll take them out and then we'll start play. Again, bring coolers, bring, refreshments for yourself. You're going to want to stay hydrated. It'll usually go until about 2:30. That kind of depends on the pros. Some of those games for the pros can take a good 45 minutes for them to actually get through. But it dwindles down to eventually all we're watching are the final pros play. So it's a great time, great way to come out and support the community, great way to continue to support the festival with something that it's a time gap filler for us, really. But it grew. Last year was huge. So I sent you some pictures. I'm sure you're going to put them up so that people can see. We had that whole bottom space lined up and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, once again, the cornhole tournaments happen at 11 a.m. on Sunday, July 16th, that Sunday of the Kindleberger Festival weekend. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to tell us about the information.
My pleasure.